Alright guys, so I got asked to do a starter video for somebody who's maybe never played the game and how to do the different functions in the start of the game. So obviously character select is pretty self-explanatory. Local game, you can play alone or in a local co-op play. That's if somebody is sitting on your couch with you. Survival multiplayer would be other people in the network in the world that can play with you. Creative is where you have all the blocks available to you and you can do all kinds of crazy building and stuff like that. It's kind of like a cheat mode if you want to, that just allows you to play around with the different mechanics of the game. And private game is an invite-only online game, so you would have to invite friends into it. So we're gonna go up to local game. Game world, random gen, you come up with your own name for the seed. There's lots of seeds out there. You can Google them. If you're playing on a console, you do want to Google seeds for Alpha 15 or Alpha 15.5. And that'll give you the most accurate seeds as to what the different biomes look like. However, if you're brand new to the game, I would suggest just going with the Naviz-Gain. Again, you want to look up the Naviz-Gain for Alpha 15 or 15.5 when you look up the Naviz-Gain map. But that map is much smaller than any map you'll get in random gen, and you'll know where everything is. Okay, so I would always go Naviz-Gain if you're brand new to the game. Local game options, so we'll go into standard options. You could pick your difficulty here. So Scavenger's the easiest. It's designed for people who are new to the game, new to first-person shooters, zombie games, that kind of thing. Adventure, you could actually see it on there too. It's not just a new recruit anymore. Adventure is typically what I play on. I am more of a builder, so I get more out of adventure than I would, say, nomad or warrior or survivalist or insane. As you go up, the zombies will get more difficult. So, it depends on how hard you want the zombies to be to kill. If you're brand new and you're learning the game, go with Scavenger. So default for zombie runs, it means that they only run at night. Makes them a little less dangerous during the day. That's what I always do, is just the default. Never run obviously means they walk day or night. If you're brand new, that might be a good idea to go with the never run. And then always run if you're a little more experienced is what you would want to go with. I'm going to set that to default. Enemy aggression controls how aggressive and how far away they can sense you. They can sense you through walls at night, as you can see there on the screen. Pretty much what I always do. Feral means that you will, one, have more feral zombies. They are the most difficult zombie in the game. You also tend to get more dogs as well, and dogs really suck. So, if you're new to the game, again, I would just stick with normal. Daylight length, I go with 18 hours. If you're new to the game, I would also go with 18 hours. It makes a week in the game about 14 hours in real life. I go with 18 hours because I'm a builder, and at night it's when they get intense and they start fighting a lot harder. So just having more daylight gives me more chance to explore and things like that. When you first log into the game, it's set at, I think, 12, which in real time I think is like half an hour or something like that. So you really don't get very much time during the day if you leave it at 12. So especially if you're brand new to the game, I say jack it all the way up to 18. That way you have more of a chance to explore and stuff like that before the nighttime and the heavier zombies. Modded options. Okay, on death, you drop everything that's in your bag. On your tool belt, everything that you have will drop wherever you die. I would not suggest that at any point in time, personally, unless you're really trying to go for an advanced game. Because, I mean, you die in the game fairly often. Even as an advanced player, you still die sometimes. So, having to run and gather all of your gear can really suck. I'll drop my tool belt only. In beginning game, I'm very cautious about what I keep in my tool belt. For that reason, I don't want to lose like a high-powered weapon if I die and I'm far away from my base or something like that, because sometimes you just don't want to run all the way back and get your stuff if you can avoid it. Backpack only, obviously you would just drop everything that's in your inventory and not in your tool belt. And then delete all would completely erase everything that you would have on you. So if you die, you lose everything. Obviously, I would not suggest that. I go with the tool belt. Enemy memory is how long the zombies will pursue you. I keep it at 30 because I do a lot of running around in buildings, so if I'm trying to avoid killing zombies just because I don't have time for that, it makes it easy to just kind of run by them and keep going if you're out in the open world. The higher you go, though, they'll pursue you for longer. So they'll pursue you for 90 seconds. So like a minute and a half, they will chase after you. But even on 30 seconds, it's like 5 seconds, so they kind of forget that you're there. Enemy spawning, obviously I have it on high. If you're brand new to the game, I would suggest either disabling them or going very low unless you are a proficient first-person shooter in the game. If you do a lot of building like I do sometimes in late game, you gotta go with low because the system can crash more often. The more zombies you have, the system's kind of like, oh my gosh, and it's an overload. So in one of my maps, I do have it on low at this point because I'm very well established anyways. And it just, the amount of zombies was crashing my game constantly. And obviously, once you get better, maybe go with very low your first time if you still want the challenge of zombies. Then you have low, obviously, and it gets higher and higher and higher. So I'm gonna disable them for now for the purpose of this video. Block durability is how hard the blocks are. So 25, they're pretty easy. Even at a low level, you can knock out blocks very quickly, very easily. Obviously, it gets harder and harder. 200 is the hardest. Use that at your own discretion. I usually keep it at 100, but use that as your own discretion. I keep my loot respawn disabled because I play alone, so it makes it a little more difficult for me. It means that if I've completely looted a gun resource or a working stiff or a crack-a-book, that means they're gone. It's not gonna reload for me and I gotta go find another one if there's something that I need and I didn't get there. So I keep it disabled. 5 would be every 5 days. Now that is the number of days between your loot, so it's not like every place respawns loot on day 5 and then day 10. If you go and you loot a place on day 2, it will respawn on day 7. So if you're gonna do any of the day settings, like the 5, 10, 15, 20, 30, 40, 50, what I would suggest is when you get done looting a place, make a quick sign, throw it up on the place that you just looted, and write down on the sign what day that place will respawn and loot, so you can go back to it on that day and be like, okay, run in and grab it. I keep loot abundance at 200 because I have it disabled. So that gives me the best chance of getting the things that I need. I think when you first start, it's at 100, but you can adjust that to however you want. 100 is decent if you're playing with other people or if you keep your loot respawn on a day of like 5 or something like that. Airdrops, I put them out at 168. Mostly because they get on my nerves. I won't always go get them, so I'll end up with thousands of airdrops. Okay. I'll end up with thousands of airdrops on my map, and That could be just kind of frustrating to deal with, so I keep it at 168, but if you're brand new to the game, I'd put it at 24. That means every noon you're going to have a plane fly by, it's going to drop an airdrop. The airdrop will show up on your map as like a orange parachute, and they have schematics, guns, medicine kits, ammo. They come with a lot of different things in them. They're generally pretty good to get. 24-hour cycle, this is again one of those things where how long do I want my day to be? So this would be 10-minute days. That means by so in an hour and 10 minutes you would be fighting your first horde. That's very, very quick. You most likely would not have a base. That's why I have mine bumped up to 120. That gives me 2 hours. Mark airdrops. Again, they can get annoying to me. I still mark them though, because even if I get a whole lot on my map, I'll mark them and I'll go get them later. Unowned mini bikes, I leave on. If you play with a lot of other people, you might want to put it off. That's up to you. Cheat mode allows you to use and access anything and everything in the game. And for the purpose of this video, I'm going to turn cheat mode on, just so that I can show you what items you're going to want to get and gather within your first 2 weeks if possible. And then rule sets, scavenger, easiest against zombies. This is where you would set your difficulty. So I'm just going to leave it on scavenger for now. I'm going to hit apply. I'm going to go back, hit start game. I'm just going to call it starter because that is the purpose of this video. Oh. Going in. And then it does take a while, especially the first load takes a good amount of time. So just kind of be prepared for it to take some time. If you are new to the game, definitely read the different things at the bottom. They will give you a lot of helpful information. They do cycle through to a point where you're like, I already know that, after about a week of loading, playing the game. So, but every item gives you, like it says here, use the best tool for the job and get the bigger reward. So use a wrench for mechanical items, use a pickaxe for rocks, things like that, and you'll get better equipment and stuff from it. Okay. When you first start the game, it will have a little snippet of some information. Feel free to read it. And then it's always going to give you some starter tasks. You can see up in the right hand corner where it says gather plant fibers, craft bedroll, place bedroll. So you can go up and just hit your trigger button. It's on the PlayStation, it's the right trigger button. I'm pretty sure it's the same on Xbox, but you'll have to look. You will also need to gather wood. These little things, you can punch them and they give you 2 wood, which isn't a whole lot, but wood is wood. You want to pick up stones. You're going to need 5 of them for your first tool. So later you'll be able to hit rocks and get stone that way, but in the meantime, just pick them up. If you can find 5 of them, it comes in handy. If you can't, you can go and punch a rock for a little while. It's a bit draining and takes some time, but you can do that. Alright, so then you're going to just go into your crafting menu, which you just hit square on PlayStation. I don't remember what it is on Xbox. You can also hold down the square button, or I think it's B or something like that on Xbox, and it'll pop up with this menu. So let's go over each of these real quick. So you got crafting, that'll be this menu right here. You got your character, which will show you anything that your character's wearing, what your character's temperature is, if they're burning up, if they're starving, if they got a broken leg. It'll give you all that information right here. And then map. Obviously, I don't have much of the map explored because I just pulled into the game, so